G'day, Tragic here, and this is my latest mod for Tabletop Simulator, and I am completely addicted to making Tabletop Simulator mods, usually for solo games that I like to play on the couch or on the balcony on my Surface Pro, I guess. Anyway, the point is, this is Yggdrasil, and it's very straightforward. Basically, it's just there's about 3 or 4 mods of this already on the workshop, but this is my version with new scans and new components built in. I've also added in all the rule sheets up the top, so it's very easy to check the rules as you play. And I've added a couple of scripts in just to make life a little bit easier. Basically, when you play this game, you have your tokens inside these bags in Midgard, and they have a ratio of Vikings to fire giants. So it's actually in the rules that you can look inside these bags anytime you like. It's not hidden information. So I've added onto the board these little counters where you can just add pluses and minuses, just so you can at a glance keep track of what your bag counters are going to be. Now, if you don't wish to use this, or you wish to play the actual popular variant called blind draw that actually says it's illegal to look inside the bags, you have basically these 2 big buttons when you start the game. Play with the bag counters or remove the bag counters. Either way, when you click one of the buttons, I just clicked removed counters, it will shuffle all the bags and shuffle the Ice Giant deck. I've also added one more button which will just shuffle all the bags. So every time I've got to drop a guy in there, just hit the shuffle bags a couple of times and it will get it all shuffled. And that is pretty much it. Over here we have the random gods. So you can shuffle that bag with the R key and just drag out the gods you wish to use and place them on their little stands I've made them. If you don't want to use all of them, of course, you can just unlock them and delete the ones you don't want to use. Over here we have the elves. Now the elves are, I've only put 2 on the table to begin with. All the rest of the elves are actually in the bag, so you can pull them out as you need, or just leave them in the bag, depending on how you like to play. I prefer to have the actual icons on the table. I think it looks a little better. And over here we have all the god sheets, all their abilities and stuff. Now, I've added tooltips to pretty much the whole game. So as you can see, if I'm mousing over this, nothing happens. But if I leave my mouse on top of him, it'll bring up his power and his trance power in the tooltip. And pretty much everything's like that. For example, if I want to know what an ice giant does, I just mouse over him and it will tell you what that ice giant's ability gives you. And I've added snap points so these can kind of just snap neatly on. So yeah, so if you're curious about something that works, there's probably a tooltip if you just leave the mouse over them. So you've got the artifact cards, and here is the instructions on how to use the artifact cards. And down here is the same kind of thing. These decks here are the actual decks. That's the actual 42 card enemy deck that you have for the default difficulty level. And the difficulty level instructions are all here in the setup instructions of the manual. These bags are automatically fixed for you when you start the game. But if you wish to use the Angry God cards or the Ragnarok cards, the instructions are again just in the mouse over tooltip. In this case, to use the Angry God cards, for each god you wish to add, you have to remove one god from these decks. So if I wanted to add Loki, I have to remove one of the default Lokis. Basically, when you're at the end of adding how many you want for the Angry Gods, you need 7 in each deck. And the Ragnarok cards, if you follow the instructions, are basically the same. What you do, you just flip it over, shuffle it, you pull out as many cards as you wish to use, or all of them if you want to use all 4, and then you divide the, you build your deck with your Angry God cards. Should always be 42, and then you just divide the 42 card deck by the amount of Ragnarok cards you wish to use. In this case, we're using 4, which means it's about 10.5 per deck. If you have all 4, if you put 10 in each deck, that's kind of what you want. So 10 there, 10, and you'll end up with one deck will have 12, like so. And then once you have all those, you shuffle them and you just stack them on top of each other like that. So you put all the extra ones that don't divide evenly in the very last deck, or at least that's how I do it. Now, I didn't write a script for that because it's pretty self-explanatory, and that's pretty much the game. Everything else is pretty easy to use. I hope you like it. And oh yeah, if you want to need the whirlpool, you can just flip that over and the whirlpool is on the other side. And I've put snap points on the cards, so if you need to place the don't use the god powers, it'll snap into place there. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy this mod. It is awesome. It's a fantastic game. Track it down if you can, and I will see you guys next time.